We've all been there, right? You're starting a new project, and the plan is basically just a vague wish, a single sentence that's supposed to magically create success. Well, in this explainer, we're going to build the exact blueprint to take that fuzzy idea and turn it into a rock-solid, viable plan that actually works.
So here's the game plan. We're going to start by looking at the huge difference between a fuzzy concept and a crystal clear plan. Then we'll get practical. We'll break down a goal into actual tasks, build a timeline, figure out the budget, and, this is crucial, plan for the two things that derail almost any project: risks and bad communication. By the end, you'll have the whole blueprint.
All right, first things first, let's look at where way too many projects begin and why it's such a dangerous place to start. I'm sure this looks familiar. Someone just says our goal is to launch a new company website, and that's it. That's the entire plan. It sounds so simple, but let me tell you, this one sentence is a recipe for disaster. We're talking missed deadlines, blown budgets, and a ton of frustration. And look, the stakes here are really, really high. This isn't just a hunch. The data backs it up. Poor planning is a direct cause of project failure. It's not about being unlucky. It's about not having a roadmap from day one. So the big question is, how do we build that roadmap? Let's dive into our first set of tools and see exactly how we can transform that vague goal into something we can actually get done. Okay, so instead of that fuzzy goal, we start by making it SMART. This awesome framework forces us to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So launch a new website becomes something way better, like launch a responsive new website by December 1st that increases organic traffic by 20%. See that? All of a sudden, we have a clear, measurable finish line. Next up, we use a tool called a work breakdown structure, or WBS for short. Now, this is super important. A WBS is not a to-do list. It's a map of deliverables. It breaks the entire project down into smaller, tangible pieces. And the smallest piece, the one you can actually assign and track, is called a work package. Think of it like baking a cake. You don't just start throwing ingredients in a bowl. You start with the goal, the cake, and then you list the big components you need. For our website, that's going to be things like design, development, content creation, and of course, the launch itself. From there, you just keep breaking it down. So let's take content creation. What does that really mean? Well, it means writing the copy for the homepage, creating the About Us page, and shooting new team photos. See? Each of those is a work package, a manageable chunk of work that we can now schedule and give to someone. Okay, so now that we know what we have to do, thanks to our awesome WBS, we can finally figure out the next huge question. When is all this stuff going to happen? This is where we build our project schedule. We'll set key milestones. Those are the big deal achievements like design complete or content approved. And then we visualize the whole thing using a Gantt chart, which is basically just a bar chart that lays out your entire project on a timeline. But here's a piece of the puzzle that you absolutely cannot skip: task dependencies. Some tasks just can't start until others are done. You can't paint a wall before you've built it, right? It's the exact same for any project. Mapping these out is what turns your schedule from a wish list into a realistic plan. And here's where it gets really cool. Once you identify all these dependencies, you uncover the single most important sequence of tasks in your entire project. It's called the critical path. This is the longest chain of tasks that are all linked together. Any delay to any task on this path, even by a single day, will delay your entire project. This is the path you have to protect at all costs. Okay, we've got the what and we've got the when. Now it's time for the big one. How much is this all going to cost, and who's actually going to do the work? A real budget isn't just one number. It's got to include direct costs, like paying your people, and indirect costs, like utilities. It has to account for fixed costs, like a software subscription, and variable costs, like paying a freelancer by the hour. And, maybe most importantly, you need contingency reserves. That's your uh-oh fund for when things inevitably go wrong. You know, a great plan is so much more than just tasks and money on a spreadsheet. A truly solid plan has to account for the two trickiest things: people and problems. This is where a risk register comes in, and it's a lifesaver. Think of it as your project's early warning system. It's where you write down all the things that might happen in the future, and then you plan your response before they actually become problems. It's all about being proactive.
Now, it is really important not to mix up a risk register with an issue log. They sound similar, but they're totally different. A risk is a future uncertainty you're planning for. An issue is a problem that is happening right now and needs to be fixed. Two different tools for two totally different situations.
And to manage the people part of all this, you absolutely need a communication plan. This document spells out exactly how you're going to keep everyone in the loop. A good plan here prevents all that confusion and miscommunication that can just bring a project to a grinding halt. And the best part is, a great communication plan doesn't have to be some massive, complex thing. It just needs to answer 5 simple questions. Who needs the info? What do they need to know? When do they need it? How are you going to tell them? And why are you telling them in the first place? So, let's just step back for a second. We started with that single, vague sentence. After going through this whole structured process, what does our project look like now?
It's not just a fuzzy idea anymore, is it? It's a full-blown blueprint for success. We've got a measurable goal, a complete breakdown of all the work, a timeline on a Gantt chart, a detailed budget, a list of potential risks, and a plan to keep everyone on the same page. That vague idea is now a truly viable plan. And to make this super easy for you to use, we've boiled this entire process down into a simple 1-page checklist. You can find the link to download it right in the description. Use it on your next project to make sure you've covered all your bases. You see, this kind of structured approach doesn't just manage projects. It builds confidence, it creates clarity, and it's the foundation for delivering amazing results. So, now that you have the blueprint, what's the first project you're going to go out and plan for success?